Okay. City elections coming up in January. And right now, you need to be finding some worthless people in your community to become politicians.
Yes, you do.
Did that all make sense, John?
It did.
In a strange way.
And in Jackson, we really need it. People down there need to pay attention. Only 16,000 people voted out of what, 150,000?
Yeah.
And that was all for Chokeway, and there was like 1,000 for all the less. But yeah, everywhere. I bet if y'all looked into it, everybody should look in. All you got to do is go to Secretary of State and you can see the municipal elections and see how many people in your city voted.
John, how many people? What's going to take to get people to vote?
The growth of voters
Right.
in 16
Right.
and in 20 and
Right.
24 were largely the result of Donald Trump.
Right.
He's the one that drew people in who either hadn't voted or hadn't voted in a long time, and he brought them back.
Right.
So the movement to restore the republic to its former greatness is just started.
Right.
It is not the election to Donald Trump a second time is not the end. It's the beginning.
Right. And so, but do you feel that the state of Mississippi is on board with that?
No.
Okay. There you go. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
To me, I feel like we're just status quo. We're a red state, which we know half the state belongs to Benny Thompson because it's everything west of 55 plus 4 counties on the right. I mean, come on. I mean, what do you do to get you people to go vote? I mean, in Madison County, it's horrible.
And the
Madison County Republican Party Executive Committee is not meeting in December because they're not concerned about the upcoming election in the cities. And, you got mayoral elections and city elections in Madison, Ridgeland, Flora, Canton.
Every city in the state is going to have municipal elections.
That's
yeah, it's state elections. So city elections. So basically, we just voted on the most important, the highest elected official, and now we can do our local city one. And
we'll be voting for new city election commissioners for the city, right?
The deadline is a month and a half from now.
Yes.
So it's here.
Well, somebody sent me that today. It starts on January 1 and you have through the 29th.
Right.
You have a long time to qualify.
Right.
Yeah, the month. You say that.
Well, a long. I didn't mean a long time, but
you say that, and when you read that first part of that article on qualifying deadlines,
right?
They took a few days after that, and then they said some people who turned it in on time didn't turn it in on time. And John and I had all the names of everybody who was qualified on time.
Right.
And then they were taking names out, putting names in.
Well, take pictures when you qualify, so you can prove it now.
We had all the proof.
They don't care.
One problem in Mississippi is we had one candidate whose form was switched 5 minutes to 5 on the day of the deadline by her husband.
I say it was switched 5 minutes after the deadline, but anyway.
But anyway, the point is she never showed up.
No.
She never presented herself to the clerk to run for office. And that's the law. You don't have to do that.
And she is currently in office.
She is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Currently elected.
Well, there we go. Because it doesn't matter. They take it to court. They get a judge that they want. That's going to basically, judge doesn't care. I'll do something wrong. It doesn't matter if it's brought back to me in a year because the whole point is just to put it off.
And then the state doesn't care.
No.
Because the problem is it's the people in the community. If the people don't stand up.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as soon as the people stand up, the state will stand up and say, no, that's not the way it works. We're in control. But it's actually the people that are supposed to be in control of all elections. And the people made a mandate to the world that Donald J. Trump would be the president this time around.
Yep.
And now I look at Mississippi and I go, what are we going to do to fix our problem?
Well, you and I both know the faith you have in the judicial system to straighten any of this stuff out is very misplaced.
Yes.
They are not going to do it.
No.
Even though they can and they're legally bound to do it, they won't do it.
No.
Because they're scared that they're going to miss a vote in the next election. So a Republican doesn't have a shake in it. And it's like even in your David Archie case, y'all can pull all the strings you want.
Oh yeah.
But by the time you get it all worked out,
Oh yeah, it's over.
it's over.
It's over. And I mean, literally, it was like a punch to my gut when I walked out of that courtroom with the judge, because all of a sudden I realized that I'd been looking at all these politicians, trying to find out if they were clean or dirty, looking at and then it hits me in the gut that I hadn't even started on the judicial, and they are going to be just as dirty as the politicians that I was looking at.
I mean, we just had a Supreme Court race where it was right at $3 million spent on both sides, but
Right.
between both
Between
sides
the two.
together to
Right.
put somebody in office. I mean,
Right.
that's one more reason why we're going to have Mike Cheney on next week, or hopefully next week, where we talk about these people that run for these offices and have to raise millions of dollars, and they have no authority. Now, Mike Cheney has a lot of authority at the insurance commissioner, but he says
Right.
that position should be an appointed position, and that's his take on it. He goes, because if somebody gives you $1 million, you owe them $1 million favor.
Right. Well,
I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's just a fake.
it is.
And so, in our state elections, we will be electing a state auditor, will
Right.
be who has no teeth to prosecute.
Right.
You have the same for Michael Watson's office.
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, they have no power at all.
Well, teeth aren't the only thing missing in that anatomy.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Well, backbone too, but that's just the way I see it. I mean, you've got to start doing your job, and I mean, Shad does a good job with his job, but I mean, the reality is he cannot do anything. I mean, now he carried his thing and did the book and upset the world by doing it, but he went the only route that you actually can get any justice in this state,
Right.
by going around the state.
Right.
And he went to a
Certainly.
criminal, Jody Owens, to get it done.
Criminal.
I mean, you think you've done the good thing, and you're working with the guys. I mean,
Right.
but that's what I'm getting at. What are we doing to clean up our state in this legislative session? I saw where they're already pushing for the ballot initiative, and all they're doing is raising money. That's what they did last year. Nothing came up about the ballot initiative that counted.
Well, let's
And then-
get to it. We the people. Come on.
And 20% of 5 counties and 20% of 5 districts and 20% of 4 districts is still the same amount of people.
Right.
So I don't know if we really have lost our ballot initiative, and I really feel that way about it. And some people go, well, no, that comes up to 80%. No, you have to lay 80% now becomes the 100.
Right.
And it would take somebody like John to go help them since he went to West Point.
Right.
Yeah, they would know that.
Yeah,
Right.
this is not higher math.
No. 100% is 80.
Right.
You
And-
just lowered the bar of what it is.
well, what do? We the people need to listen to people like Mike Cheney, who needs to come on here as he's going to do and explain.
And he's been.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but reading a book like Shad had, it's kind of hard for somebody like me to really get a picture. Whereas Mike coming in here and being able to explain it.
well, I mean, no. In
it'll
Shad,
give
just to give you a little thing, in Shad's situation, if you don't have any prosecuting power,
right.
then you've got to find somebody who'll prosecute it. You carry something to Lynn Fitch. We carried 140 people to Lynn Fitch to prosecute for voter crimes
Okay.
in the supervisor's race just held last year.
Right.
And she sends back a letter saying, we will not be prosecuting anybody for election crimes before the election. And we had the pay stubs, we had everything, and they were going, where'd you get your list? I said, I got the list from y'all. Excuse me, where do you mean you got the list? I got the list from y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to get busy.
So, I mean, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, and Lynn Fitch, bless her, she gets on.
She's done some good things.
Well, she gets on national agenda things.
Yep.
If it's for human trafficking, which is important, and abortion is important, all of that's important.
You know why that is?
Why?
She doesn't have any faith in Mississippi jurisprudence either.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm getting at. The system is broke.
Very. Well,
We need
let's
to fix
do it with Mississippi, a little bitty town. We can start small and somewhere
You
that
know-
it's easy to clean up and clean out.
Well, it's one thing to elect a crook, but the problem is we're electing more cowards than we are crooks.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
Because, I mean, everybody says, well, like I know people, and I'm not going to say names, and you know who you are. I just follow the leadership. The leadership is trying to guide us, and it's my first time in office and blah, blah, blah. No, you got elected your first time in office because you needed to stand up on your own 2 feet.
Right.
And I watched you last week in Grip and Grin, to the one I'm talking to, when certain things were being said and you didn't clap. When Tate Reeves was saying, Medicaid expansion, I'm going to knock it down every time, you didn't clap.
Right.
People notice those things in a room because I was at a table where everybody was noticing it, and we know that we spoke to you about it, Mr. Representative. But anyway, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be back right here on the Chip Matthews Show. Right. Okay. I was talking to Jonathan McMillan.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9
yeah.
Let Lewis Furniture help you
Now you
create
know.
the home of your dreams.
We have a wide selection
Well,
in our showroom with
I mean,
top
that's
brands
not-
like Tempur-Pedic, Flexsteel,
We're
Radius,
live
and
when
many
over
more.
here,
Lewis Furniture
when
is
we're off
proud
here.
to be a family-owned
Oh, and on
and
here
business
too, but-
styling homes for over a decade.
Shop local. Shop Lewis Furniture.
But
Lewis Furniture and Mattress Gallery.
You got to start over. Little bitty.
What do we need to talk about, John?
Next to Nukes and Clinton.
I'm talking with real estate
Well, I mean,
agent Rita
We,
Jensen.
we can keep talking about this stuff. I mean, you and I can tell stories about Canton.
Yeah.
And I was just going to bring up, you know, what the hell was I going to bring up?
Well, and what happens in Canton's what's happening everywhere.
Oh, the training.
The
You know,
training.
the training at the
Yeah,
multi-purpose
let's
center.
talk about the training. And then I found out recently that committee that they brought in were just Hines County election commissioners.
Oh no! Well, I can talk about how idiotic Hines County election
What?
commissioners were.
The 3rd Congressional District people.
Yeah.
We're all Hines County election commissioners.
Who was it?
The black guy with the thin hair.
Jamal Clark.
Oh,
most-
the
most
people they
corrupt
replaced me
Jamal.
with.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Jamal Clark has got Jamal Clark has all of their around Ellis Avenue, and that's where half.
Well, the
They
funny
had
thing,
more
the funny
flash
thing is
drives.
when he was sitting up there while they were doing the recount, and then when he saw the 2 ballots, that was when they wouldn't certify the
That
election.
man, I'm telling you what, when I was doing the Hines County audit, I was pulling the receipts for the voting machines out of Ziploc bags, okay? And they were a train wreck.
Well, they were supposed to be in the back.
So here I am, huh?
They're supposed to be in Ziploc bags.
Well, this was at the election committee. This was
Yes.
at their office. This was not they shouldn't have been there in the first place. But
No,
anyway,
they had them in 2 places.
But
They had
anyway.
votes here on one side of the street, and over here on another street, they had everything else.
yeah. So I'm rolling up.
And the votes were in cardboard boxes, unsealed.
Yeah.
I went,
They were separated. Everything was separated.
I walked in there when we went to go look. I looked at Tim. I said, "This is a crime scene."
It is. It was. I was there for my Hines County election one. I mean, it was terrible. And then Jamal Clark gets on. I mean, I pulled out this mask that was a complete mess, all mixed up. I'm trying to put it back halfway neatly, but not greatly, and kind of shoving it back in there. And he was like, "You need to put that back in straight, don't you?" And I was like, "Excuse me." And thank goodness Zach Wallace was respectful enough and pulled him aside and said, considering how she just pulled it out, she was going back in neatly. And he came back and was nice about it, Nate Crow. But I mean, it is for them to be bringing him in. More flash drives stayed out overnight in his area than anywhere else, which that means that there are more abandoned properties down there that they can vote from, that people can register to, or people that possibly registered 50 years ago, so they know that, or 80 years ago, so they know that they're not going to vote now and they can use that vote. I didn't say that on the radio, but I just said that on my Facebook
I just
page.
took a death certificate into the clerk's office last week because I'm the executive of an estate in Gold Black Lady, and she got her new voting card. So I said, she's dead, been dead for 3 years. Take her off. And they said, we'll do it.
People, you need to pay attention.
I wonder if my brother and my mother are off the list yet. I need 2 votes.
Be informed. Go to mpvr.org. Like us on Facebook to stay up to date on the latest information. That's Mississippi Parents for Vaccine.
In Canton, it's not about who you know, it's about who you knew.
Yeah. Fast man.
my goodness.
Welcome back to the Chip Matthews Show, and here is your host, Chip.
And we're back on a Tuesday, and some of the best stuff is always said off the air, and I just got to say it on the air now. Canton elections, and probably a lot of elections, it's not about who you know.
No.
It's about who you knew
Yep.
that may be gone now.
Yep. Yep.
That's good. That's good. I like that. That's good stuff.
Yep.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, in a dirty game, you have to play dirty. So maybe
No, you
shouldn't say
don't.
that.
You don't need to play dirty.
I
You
know.
need to always follow the rules.
you do.
Just like in this last judges races,
You do.
you
Correct
follow
me, I'm wrong.
you follow the rules. If everybody would follow the rules, the
Well-
rules work. It's just like every time we need to meet and have a new law. No, we don't
But
need a
if
new
you're
law.
in a poker
Enforce-
game, if you're in a poker game and nobody else is playing by the rules, you're still gonna sit there and play by the rules, or you're gonna play
Yes.
dirty a little bit till you can get the upper hand.
Yes.
Well, you're gonna lose every time.
How do you know?
If everybody else is cheating and you're not,
How do you know? I mean, are you saying that cheating is good?
well, I'm saying if everybody else is cheating in a dirty game, you need to cheat until you can get the upper hand and get on the right
No,
road.
you don't.
Well,
I mean,
I-
with that analogy, we should keep cheating till the Republicans are in
No.
charge of everything.
no, well, okay,
Kristen Welker asked Donald Trump in this latest interview
yeah,
Right.
if he thought they were talking about 2020.
right.
And he said, I'm not giving up on 2020. It needs to be investigated. And then she said, what about 2024? She said, what did anything happen there? He said, well, it was too big to rig.
Yep,
I mean, they could.
you
Right.
can't cheat. You can't cheat if it's close. If it's not close, you can't
And-
cheat if it's not close.
And like you and I, Chip, both lived through the 2020, the 17 election
Yes.
in Canton.
Yes.
We both gave the DA 2 to 3 pages of handwritten notes with names, with phone numbers, with times and dates and infractions.
Was that while Michael Guest was in charge? It
Yeah.
started with Michael Guest.
Yeah.
And then it finished with Bubba.
The DA, Mr. Guest,
Yes.
kind of slow walked this thing until he was going to run for office. And then when the investigators met with me 6 months after the election, they said, what do you want us to do? I said, put the bad guys in jail. I said, here's where you start. And those same guys knew where everybody lived in 2021
Right.
when we were going to court, but they wouldn't testify because they said they'd lose their job.
Correct. People that we knew that investigated it said, I never been there. I was in the car with you. What do you mean? We sat outside. You took pictures.
Yep.
I mean, Truly was living in Gluckstadt. We took pictures.
Lacking
Chip,
courage.
I'm not getting involved in that. I'm not going to get involved.
Lacking courage.
Y'all, backbone. You know, and it doesn't matter. I mean, people, yes, it's stupid for me to get on the air and talk bad about things and blah, 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 but you're never going to hear. You don't believe. You sit back and live in your little HOA and think everything is wonderful. And the only person you get mad at is your HOA president that comes by and says, hey, you can't put that light up in your house. You can't put that sign in your front yard. That's against the rules. You got to get a new roof. You can't build that fence. You can't park your RV here.
Yeah.
So you want to stay in your little world and just be mad at your HOA. You need to be mad at your whole system because the whole system is where the problem is occurring. And you need to get your little HOA and you need to find somebody in your HOA to run in your district to be a supervisor or a city councilman or alderman. You need to get people on the ballot. I'm going to be surprised at what it comes out of Gluckstadt in their first real election because basically they
haven't had a real one yet.
they hadn't had one. And what's going to happen? I mean, you know, you've had people who had their vision on how the town should be built. And if those people aren't the ones that go back in, you're going to get a new town.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yep.
You know, and they all get mad about a new gas station going up in that town, but nobody stops it. Nobody stops it. But, you know, you need gas stations. That way you can get the hell out of here. But anyway, so what do y'all want to talk about now? Huh?
I don't know.
You're a box of rocks today.
But what do you mean on my box? We got
Well,
Other
I
people
brought
to talk.
John.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
what do
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
I've been working on writing Pete Hegseth a letter,
oh
Major Hegseth,
yes.
and giving him the benefit of my experience on what he needs to do
Right.
to clean house. It is my opinion that even though we've contaminated almost an entire generation of young Army officers
Right,
and Navy officers
right,
with DEI at the service academies,
right.
there are enough guys left at the top that remember the old days when being a commissioned officer in the service meant something and there were standards you had to follow, that all he has to do is bust the right 3 or 4 star at the Pentagon
Right.
and say you're out and make a big deal out of it. And those guys, the uniformed guys, will pretty much fall in line because they'll see, okay, it is over.
Right.
Yeah.
We just busted a big guy.
Right.
Now with the civilian side, the bureaucratic side, and I was in the Army Reserve long enough to watch this up close.
Right.
They think they're in charge. And
Yeah.
as my boss told me one time when I was getting frustrated as a part-timer,
Right.
saying they're not doing what I'm telling them. And he said, John, you got to understand something. The first of every month, they've got a 28-day head start on you in making things happen. The long and the short of it is, the last thing I did as a battalion commander, I couldn't tell anybody what I was doing, not even the part-timers, because
Right.
it would slip out. And we got it done.
Right.
But that's because I had to cut all the full-timers out. They're going to be a problem. The bureaucrats in government, you're going to have to do a John J. Pershing deal where you promote some guy from promote a captain to brigadier general.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Inside the Army structure,
Yeah,
or rather, we'll say Army, Navy, all of it.
Right.
The structure,
Military.
the government has implanted bureaucrats, right?
oh yeah.
Okay, so does that make logical sense that there are bureaucrats trying to help run the Army?
Well, it does from the standpoint of making the machinery of government work. In other words, if you want a canteen cup, for example,
Yeah.
it's a huge process to get that up the line and blessed by all the people it needs to get blessed. And then they buy the canteen cup and then it gets back down to you. So it's a much more complicated system than it probably needs to be.
Right.
So that means the military, all the fat needs to be cut, just like Vivek
Oh,
and
yeah.
Elon are
But
doing
that's what
in
I'm
the
getting
government.
at. I mean, I would think the quartermaster says, I need this, and the government gives it to him.
It should be in
Yeah.
stock in the back. If it's that kind of thing, it should be in stock wherever it's needed.
Yeah. Cash Patel said, first day going to the Hoover building, telling everybody to get out, and he's going to lock the door. You guys go out and find bad guys. There's 6,000 agents in the Hoover building.
Yeah.
But it's going to be difficult, and you're going to have to really shake that system up in order to get anybody's attention. These GS 15, 16, 17 guys, or 20s, whatever they are, they're hidebound.
Right.
They're committed to the old system.
Right.
Those guys have to go.
Right.
That's the only way to do this.
Right.
When I was in Iraq,
Right.
I had a special program. I had $72 million statutorily assigned to my mission.
Right.
And when the first of 2009, the senior civilians said, we're going to take your money from you because you're not going to build any more courthouses. So I fought for it
Right.
at a meeting, and 2 senior civilians, a general officer equivalent, said, you cannot talk to us like that. I said, I can say it louder if you want me to. At the break, the highest ranking Army officer there, a 2-star, came up and put his arm around me. I was a colonel, and he said, John, you gave it a hell of a try, but you lost. So.
But no, you said now they, along with them being a G15 or whatever, 14,
Right.
they get a rank too.
Well, they have a military equivalent rank, like a federal judge, for example.
Okay.
His equivalent military rank for protocol purposes is a 3-star.
Okay.
That's the way that works. They don't get that rank, but from a protocol standpoint,
Well, I don't think any bureaucrat who did not serve in the military deserves any rank.
well, this is just on paper so that they
It
put
is-
you at the right place at the table at parties.
Yeah.
That's what this is for.
That's insane. But anyway, That's just the way I see it. I believe the Army should be the Army, and that's that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Let's
and Pete Hedges,
say it. Hedge
he is the man for the job.
Yes, he is.
He has been paying attention.
And y'all need to call Cindy Hines Smith, and
Yep.
y'all need to call
Wicker.
Roger Wicker and say, y'all, I don't want to hear that Mississippi is holding up any appointments.
Nope.
We're
Nope.
approving everybody.
Yep.
And if you call them, they'll have to do it.
Yep.
And if they don't do it after we call, then we have to primary them and get rid of them.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of people that need to be primary
Oh, yes, there are.
because
Well-
you need to primary all the cowards and all the non-MAGA people.
There you go.
They all
Well-
need to be primary.
And everybody needs to look like Pam Bondi is a powerhouse down in Florida. You can see all kinds of stuff that there's plenty of information on her if you want to get to know her, but she is a powerhouse that needs to be put in as well. But yes, we call him.
Okay.
Pete's got to go in.
Okay. Pete's got to go.
Yeah.
All of them got to go in.
All of them
got
got
to go in.
But Pete's the one that's being trashed right now
Okay.
and basically being Kavanaugh because everything they're saying about him is not who he is now. And I've been watching Pete. I quit watching Fox News, but I still watch on Saturdays and Sundays for Pete. So,
Well, we're going to take a break now.
okay.
But the thing I want to tell you is
Okay.
when they decide to put people in office, they're going to be great meetings on TV and they're going to call them everything in the book.
Yep.
And I still want to know how that got approved in Congress, into the cabinet, the one that's a guy, that's a girl, that's
Oh,
horrible-
gosh.
horrible
The
looking-
blonde.
the horrible looking drag queen.
She looks like, I mean,
Okay, we're taking the break. We'll be back. What is her title? What
she
is
looks
that?
like a man.
The guy's title? That
Surgeon General, the blonde.
yeah, that's it.
The Surgeon General.
Malone is a company in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's who it is.
And all these people got approved. And the Senate, the Republicans up there,
Yeah.
just let it go through.
Yeah, they made a lot of votes they shouldn't have made.
See, I can talk about that because I have knowledge of drag queens that you would not know that they are men. I mean, they look
Well,
like
that
women.
one looks like a man. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He looks like alternative. He looks unattractive. He looks like a man trying to be a woman. There are a lot of there.
He looks like he has mental problems.
Exactly.
There was a stockbroker at Morgan Keegan, retired Air Force colonel. He came to me one day and said, Scanlon, I'm having my 80th birthday. I want you to show up as Monica Lewinsky. I said, what? He said, I've thought about this and thought about that. You're the only guy that could pull this off. So I got dressed up. And
Never do that.
I went in there and fiddled around with him, talked to him, and all the Morgan Keegan people were there. When I left, half of them didn't know it was me. I said, you got to be shitting me. I said, no. They said, what was the hardest thing for you to do? I said, find a size 12, pair of 12 pumps. That was
yeah.
tough.
Oh yeah.
What, did you get a blue dress?
Huh?
You have a blue dress?
I had a blue dress,
Stain on it?
sequins,
Yeah.
and he always smoked cigars. So we had a big time with that. His wife didn't even know he was doing it. And I just showed up and the guy escorted me from our office. When we came out, I put my hand in his arm. He said, get the fuck away from me. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's always fun to play dress up.
No, you should never because that's how they get a lot of these people. I think cooked in the.
But I'm going to make a
If they
comment.
dressed up like a woman, they're.
Yeah, I'm going to make a comment about the transition I've made in my information intake
Okay.
that everybody needs to know about.
Okay. Well, watching the clock, we're through at 10.
Got it.
Okay. So
7 minutes.
you're through at 59.
Yeah.
And we have so many damn commercials.
I understand. Pays the bills.
Yes, it does.
I emailed.
And no, I don't get paid.
I emailed. No, I meant.
Yeah.
It sounded like y'all were doing something else. I was like, oh, just something else. I emailed Alan Walters at Miller Lumber yesterday. So
And?
hopefully I'll hold back. I haven't heard back from him yet. But I mean, that's a price. I mean, that's cheap.
Yes,
Cheap.
yes. This station is very inexpensive,
I was
and
like, I
and you
can't
get
imagine
results out of
selling
it.
this.
You get tons of results.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, my restaurant only this place. I advertised here, and that was it. And I said, well, don't want any more business. Can't keep up.
Not until you knock out a wall.
I'm not making it bigger.
The AC Doctors
No.
is your one-stop provider for air
Wow.
conditioning and heating installation service.
It would be work.
Contact us for money-saving repairs and lower energy.
It's like when I told my dad, we need to raise 2 litters of hogs a year instead of 1. We need to milk more cows or get out.
Uh-huh.
He said to me, well, just how hard do you want to work? I said, well, there's 2 of us. He said, no. Any extra work, you're going to do it. I'm not doing it.
Kim Wade said to me one day, girl, I understand being busy when Jesus gets here, but you're just overdoing it.
And we're back on a Tuesday for our final segment here on the Chip Matthews Show with Taylor Turcott and John Scanlon.
How you doing out there?
Okay, Mr. Scanlon, let's go where we're going.
I want to tell your audience
Yes.
that I have made a transition in my information intake, a major transition.
Right,
And that is, I haven't watched network news for years.
right.
I quit watching Fox except on rare occasion,
Okay,
almost a year ago.
right.
So I was explaining this to my brother-in-law, and he said, well, the things you're telling me, I don't understand because I don't hear that. I said, there's a reason you don't hear, because you're listening to the wrong news sources.
Right.
He said, well, what should I do? I said, well, the first rule of thumb is start getting on YouTube and listen to everybody that's been fired from Fox,
Yep.
because they all got fired for telling the truth.
Right.
And I said, that's a good place to start. And then you can go from there to where, but I said, you don't need many sources to get the truth, because they're all saying the same thing, and you can identify it and verify it another way.
And that's why the podcast thing is such a big
Yeah.
thing now.
Right.
Because,
Can I mention one of those Fox
go ahead.
by name? Megan Kelly,
Yeah.
who I didn't like for a long time because not a long time, but I was kind of irritated with
Okay.
her because of Trump. But she's doing a lot. She's taken a lot of hard hitting interviews. So pay attention to her as well. And it's quality video. So it's fun to look at, to watch.
Now, Timothy Jenkins says municipal election commissioners are appointed, not elected. That would be wrong, Mr. Election Commissioner.
Yes. And in cities, now, for example, what happened in 2021 when the dark side of politics,
Right.
and I explained what I meant by dark side of politics to Ed Blackman
Yes.
under oath. He didn't like it, but
No.
that's,
Yeah.
The point is, they had a meeting to pick a new committee
Correct.
to replace the one that had already been elected, duly elected.
Right.
And it went downhill from there.
Oh, yes.
And they finally admitted, even in their own minutes, we weren't trying to replace the committee. We were just trying to get 4 of our members on it. Well, the problem is the election in 17 elected 5 people.
Right.
Canton was allowed 8 Democrats,
And only 5.
and only 5 ran. And there is no way to augment that outside of another election. You can't appoint them. And that's what they were trying to do.
Right.
Well, where do I go to find out who my city in Jackson, who
Now,
the
each-
election commissions are,
Well, see,
commissioners are?
You got 1 per elected official.
1 per elected official.
Okay. So where do I go to find out who those people are if they're going to be on the ballot and they're electing them?
I'd go down there and ask Chadway. He's the mayor.
Shockway's not going to answer any questions, and he's up in Madison. He's not downtown at them. Where do I go to look for that?
The clerk, Hines
The
County clerk.
The
contact-
clerk.
Clerk's
Okay.
office.
And
And then there's a city clerk.
okay.
Go to the city clerk.
Yeah. I think I have a resource who probably knows.
Everything can be found out if you just go ask somebody. You may not get an answer,
Well,
but if you
call
go-
us and let us know, and we'll try to get an answer.
But anyway, y'all, it's been fun this week. Glad for having both of y'all in today, and we'll be back next Monday right here on the Chip Matthews Show. Next week, we hope to have Mr. Cheney in. We'll be talking with him this week and getting that hooked up.
Yeah.
And look, elections are coming up. Think about voting. Think about running for office,
Yes.
and think about who you're going to vote for in January. And if you know somebody that needs to run, go find them and get them to go register at the city hall to tell these people you're going to run. It's $10 to get on the ballot.
And if you live in District 2, Benny Thompson's going to have somebody on every one of those ballots. So you better be sure to get somebody.
Benny and
To
David
me.
and Presley, y'all
Yep.
watch out for this.
Yep.
Watch out.
And do not forget to watch the Army-Navy game this Saturday at 2:00.
Right.
Beat Navy.
Go Army, beat Navy.
Mm.
My brother would say, go Navy,
Mm.
beat Army. See y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you on Monday. Bye, y'all. Sorry, I'm recording since I realized I wasn't on Facebook. I'll post it here in a minute.
Pull that.